Hello, I'm Steve from Ticket to Carcassonne, and I'm going to teach you how to play my favourite Stefan Feld game, Merlin. King Arthur is retiring, apparently, and wants to appoint a successor. The players in this game must impress King Arthur to become that successor, and the thing that impresses Arthur the most is points. Glorious victory points. The game consists of 6 rounds. And though you can score a few points from landing on squares such as this one, or by playing mission cards, most of the points are awarded at the ends of round 2, 4 and 6 during the scoring phase. This is when you can score points based on what you've done during your turns. And you can score points for things like having influence, using henchmen, building manor houses, or fighting off traitors. So let's look at how you would go about doing those things. The board is a rondel, and players will roll dice to move their knights from square to square, just like snakes and ladders, except without snakes.
There is a snake.
Where?
There.
Oh, okay, yeah. Alright, just like snakes and ladders, except without ladders. Is that better?
Yep.
The board is divided up into 6 kingdoms, who all conveniently favour different coloured decorating schemes. Other than that, and one other small difference I'll come to later, the kingdoms are all equivalent and work the same way. At the beginning of the game, all players take a random card which tells them where to place their knights on the board. The card also tells the players what goodies they start the game with, and which kingdom they have influence in. All players also get an apple, which is nice, but they also draw 3 random filthy traitors who immediately start attacking them, which is not nice. At the beginning of each turn, all players roll their 4 dice and place them on their player board. Taking it in turns, and here, thankfully, it differs from snakes and ladders, each player chooses one of their dice, discards it to the centre of the board, and moves their knight on that number of squares in a clockwise direction. Then they perform the action for the square that they've landed on. The white dice is used for Merlin. This is Merlin, and he starts here, and he can be used by any player. Unlike the knights, he can go either clockwise or anti-clockwise, because, you know, magic. In terms of actions, Merlin works the same way as the knights, except that if you want to, you can spend one of Merlin's staffs to enable him to perform the action for the square that he's on twice. So, for example, if yellow had rolled these 4 dice, he or she would have the option of moving the yellow knight either 2 squares, 4 squares or 6 squares in a clockwise direction, or they could move Merlin 6 squares in either clockwise or anti-clockwise direction. There are sometimes a few other options available. You can spend an apple to change the score on any dice to whatever it is that you want. Also, some of the flags that you might have collected might allow you to move your knight differently, but we'll come to that later. After all the players have used up all of their dice, it's the end of the round, and you collect your dice and get ready for the next round. So now let's look at the different types of square that you might land on and what actions you can take when you do. The most interesting square is the special coloured square for each kingdom. If your knight lands here, you can interact with the kingdom by taking one of your henchmen from your player board or from another kingdom if they're already out and about and sending them there to do their job. If another player's henchman of that type is already there, that henchman gets sent back to the player's board. You have 4 different options with the henchmen, and they allow you to collect different things: building materials, shields, flags, and influence. The shields are used to repel traitors. Each traitor comes from a particular kingdom, so you'll want to collect the shields that correspond to the traitors' banners. Building materials allow you to build manor houses in the environs, which is a big way to score points. Having influence in a kingdom is good for two reasons. The first is that it allows you to carry out certain actions later in the game. The second is that it can earn you some big points in the scoring phase. Flags give you special abilities that allow you to break some of the rules. And this is the thing that I mentioned earlier that is different from kingdom to kingdom. Each kingdom's flag has a different ability. They all have symbols on them that are supposed to help you remember what they do, but you will probably want to keep the rulebook open on this page the first time you play. Flags are used only once, and then they are returned to the kingdom that they came from. Okay, let's move on to the other types of square you can land on. These are all simpler than the kingdom squares. If you land here, you can immediately claim Excalibur, and immediately remove one filthy traitor from your player board. If you land here, you can immediately claim the Holy Grail, and take one apple for some reason. By the way, I like having Excalibur and the Holy Grail in the game, but I am disappointed there are no shrubberies. I think it's a missed opportunity. If you land on one of these squares, you can spend one building material from your board to build a manor house. Go to the environment board and look for the picture of the building material that you want to use. Follow the arrows. You can build on any of the empty hexes in that line. If you choose to build on a hex with a tower on it, you can also claim one free shield or flag, or place an influence cube in any kingdom that you want. Some hexes in the environs are potentially worth more than others, which I'll tell you about when I cover the scoring phase. Finally, here are some even more straightforward squares. This one allows you to swap a flag, shield or construction material for any other flag, shield or construction material. These four squares, from left to right, allow you to take a flag, construction material or a shield, or place a henchman in a kingdom where you have at least one influence counter. These four squares, from left to right, give you one victory point for every flag, construction material or shield on your player board, or for every influence counter on the main board. This square allows you to swap up to 2 of your mission cards for new ones. This seems like a good time to tell you about mission cards. To complete a mission and claim the points on the top right of the card, you just have to own the items listed in the top left of the card. You don't have to spend these items. You can resolve one card per turn, and if you do, you draw a replacement card from either the face down deck or from the 3 face up cards that I forgot to put out while doing the filming. So now that you know what you can do, let's look at the scoring, which will hopefully make it clear why you should choose certain actions above others. As I said earlier, the scoring phase happens at the end of round 2 and round 4 and round 6. At each of these times, award points as follows. For each kingdom, add up the total number of influence counters. Award that many points to the player who has the most counters there. So in this example, 4 points to green. In the event of a tie though, usually you would share the points equally, rounding down. However, the player who holds the Holy Grail can use it to break a tie in their favour, in one kingdom only. In the environs, hexes of the same type which are next to each other form one area. For each area, count the number of hexes. Award that many points to the player who has the most manors in that area. So in this example, yellow has 2, green has 1, so yellow would score 4 points. Over here, green would score 3 points. In the event of a tie in one area, share the points equally, rounding down. You also get 1 point for every henchman who is out in a kingdom doing their henching. Finally, look and see if you've defeated the filthy traitors. If you have the correct shield underneath the filthy traitor, he's defeated. You don't actually score points for defeating filthy traitors, but you do score -3 points for every filthy traitor not defeated. The exception is the player holding Excalibur, who, if they've defeated all 3 filthy traitors, get 3 bonus points. Whether defeated or not though, discard all filthy traitors and all shields used to defeat them. To get ready for the next round after scoring, all players draw 3 new random filthy traitors and put them on their player board. And also, no player is allowed to have more than 1 influence cube in a kingdom after scoring, so return any extra ones back to the player boards. After the scoring at the end of round 6, though, there are no more rounds, and it's the end of the game. There are a couple of extra scores to award. And that's it. Whoever has the most points is the winner, and will inherit Arthur's kingdom. Thanks for watching. I hope you found that helpful. I hope I got everything right, but this has actually been the first rules video that I've ever made, so who knows. Bye for now. Hello, I'm Steve from Ticket to Carcassonne. Hello, I'm Steve from... Hello. Hello, I'm Steve from Ticket to...